I'm very happy you're here.
Thank you.
Let me tell the people some more things about you. So we heard that Flora comes from Tahiti, and what I find very interesting, she was born into a family of Polynesian storytellers, narrateur, orateur, what? And Flora is mother of 6 children and 10 grandchildren, and she's a poet of Tahitian language, and she's a member of the Academy Tahitian. This is a cultural institution responsible for standardizing, safeguarding, and enriching the Tahitian language. Since 2017, she's been the director of the Academy, the president de l'Académie. Yes, yes. Until 1997, she worked as a high school Spanish teacher, particularly in Papeete, and, which is very interesting, in Niamey, in Niger. At the same time, she also was teaching Tahitian language, which is a main center of her interest, and Tahitian poetry at the university. Flora Devantine finished her master's studies on Tahitian names in 2001, following her passion on culture, writing, poetry, and literature. She's author of many books, and she received a prize in the field of poetry, the Heredia Prize of the French Academy for a collection of poetry in 2017, last year. So everything we found is right. When I read things about you, what I found very interesting was the fact that the papers said your family were orateurs.
Yes.
Can you tell me what are orateurs and what do they mean for society in Tahiti?
Yes.
Keep on saying.
But
Oh.
for your question, I have to be well, up. Yes. Wait. No. Don't say. You can stay. First of all, thank you very much for welcoming us, my husband and I. I am very. It's a great honor to be here. And when I heard about and I saw about the films, very interesting. And first, I would like also to faire une tradition.
I would like to perform a traditional act.
Yes, because I couldn't be here if you didn't do something for that. So I have to thank, first of all, Mrs. Renate Trefessen and the Institute Albert Wagner, yes, for what you did. So I am in front of you. So can you come, Renate, please? Yes, that's for you. Thank you. No, I have to thank you. Yeah. That's the beginning for you to come to Tahiti. It's the way. Now, to answer to your question, why? Just my glass. Where is my glass? Je sais pas. Ah oui. Mes lunettes. Oh my. Here.
I can.
Excuse me. Is something like this to start or answering, responding to the question. What's about orator?
I can.
Yes. That's something like this. I can say something about the tapa beating. Tapa is the cloth, bark cloth, from many trees. And that's the song of the woman beating the tapa cloth. That's symbolically for us to mean about links, to extend the links, étendre les réseaux, voilà, like comme un filet, like a net, like internet today. And it's something like this work. E hate ahu tutu. E he tutu te yapo, e he tutu te tite, tutu rae, tutu we, tutu ha a tutu te a uru, atorhi ana te tawai, e hop upu no te ari, hi. E hop upu no te ari, ha. E hate ahu tutu. E he tutu te yapo, e he tutu te tite, tutu rae, tutu we, tutu ha a tutu te a uru, atorhi ana te tawai, e hop upu no te ari, hi. E hop upu no te ari, ha. Warutua pahue. Rutua potra uta irto retring arahi tutu araing e tutu ae. Te tihau hau ne yawe hi. Te tihau hau ne yawe ha. Warutua pahue. Rutua potra uta irto retring arahi tutu araing e tutu ae. Tamura ne yawe hi. Tamura ne yawe ha.
Thank you very much. This was something you wrote.
Yes. I wrote about the tapa, the cloth bark beating, and symbolically, it's about the culture too. The tapa bark, tapa cloth is important in the life, from la naissance, from the birth until the death. And also, but between, you have the life. And the life is to establish links, alliances with you first, as say the doctor, and with the family, with the people, and with other countries and other peoples, like today. It's important in the culture and today in the literature. Yes, I wrote it. I wrote it in the 1970 years. Yes, this poem at the feast of the Tahitian Academy.
And the words which were narrated by your family, by your father, grandfather, were they ever written down?
Yeah, yes. It's the problem with the orality. Many récimitic, how do you say?
Myths.
Myths, yes, many myths raconted, counted.
Are told. Told, narrated.
Told, are forgotten because they were not written. They had to be memorized, but with the arrival of de l'écriture, of the writing, the people gave confiance. Faith, yes, to the paper. But the paper can disappear, and what happened? Or it cost work to write, because writing is not something easier for oral people. And that's the difficulties. But also, selon how depending of the fonctionnement.
Way it functions, or the way
Yeah,
it
the function
works,
of the
way it
society, many groups and many many specialists. How do you say? Specialists. Yes, for everything, to build canoes, to plant some, to fish some kind of fishes, to beat the tapa cloth, or and so on, and for the myths that that kept the history, the memories, the songs, the traditions, all about the life of the society or the culture inside. There are in the islands, in the districts, or in the clans, or in the family, they had one man with his speciality, and it was also one the reason why myths and speeches and poems disappeared, because these myths were like secrets, or like power, how do you say, une manière de, a way to show his power. And it disappeared. In my family, my father's family, my great uncle, the brother of my grandmother, was the last orator, we say, that man who speaks for the chief, and in the ceremonies, in the public meetings, and he was the last to do as the traditions way the things, in how to welcome, what to say, and so on. Something like we in Occidental society, yes, as a protocol, and after come the speeches, and it's the way for every group from a district, from an island, in the meetings, and they have to the speaker or the orator has to talk first, to welcome, and it depends, because they were individuals too, and so everyone comes with his identity or his meaning to say or to think, but they have to saluer, comment saluer? To welcome, yes, and after to say the chant, not the poem of the chief, or or about the subject, le sujet, the subject of the meeting, and so on, and they have to practice a speech, poetic, historic, at this moment. And to continue, like the brother of my father, the eldest, he did it, and after his death, but before my granduncle died, he went to see my father many times and talking and reciting the means, the histories, the past history of the family and of the country, the district where he's come from. And but in that time I was in French, studying in French, Spanish language. And when I came back, my mother said, we thought a lot about you when he went, but he died the last year before I returned to Tahiti. But during my stay in France, I felt that I have lacks or the manque lacks.
Something is lacking.
Yeah, lacking, yes, and something also ignorance about my language and my culture. So at university it was not easier because in my family we spoke only Tahitian, and I had some difficulties with the French language. And at university it was not easier, but one of the professor, he was not mine. He knows about me at the university, and he wanted to meet and to talk about the language. And then he said, what a pity, you came here to Montpellier to study Spanish, not far from Spain. You will have many difficulties. In the north of France, it will be easier than here. And le conseil, how do you say le conseil?
Advice.
Hein?
Advice.
Advice that I can give you is when you come back, when we'll come back to home, you try to go in, try to interest to your culture. And at that time, I said inside me, thank you. That's the good, the best advice I received in my life. So when I arrived in Tahiti, my first salary, I use it to buy a microphone, to go to what I called the school of the ancient people. It means to go to the orators people and try to enregistrer.
To record them.
To record them, yes, and surtout.
Above all.
Hein?
Above all.
Mostly to learn about the poems, ancient poems, about how to speak, about the meaning of the words, and about what they need to learn.
So it was even some sort of scientific work you did, but did these... And did it influence your own writings? I mean, is it influenced by the traditional orator, or is it your own way? How much different is, or how much influence is by the modern world?
Yes. Oh yes. We say so. Yes. So I wrote. I started to write more, and I write until now. I write traditional poems in the traditional forms of poetry, with respecting les règles, the rules. Yes, the traditional rules. And I wrote and I write poems in French, free poems, where I abattre comment on dit?
Well, I'm
Please.
debunking or destroying or
Yes, I destroy the limits, the frontiers. I want to be free in my language, and where I didn't have words to say the things, I build new words, or I mix the words. For example, I wrote that I walk harillement. Harillement, it's comment on dit, un mélange, no?
a mix.
Well, a mix of Hari, it means chief, kings, and Mon, that's the, c'est la forme de complément de manière.
Well, it's a
Ah ouais.
grammar.
Well, the grammar, it means like, voilà. To say like the chief or like the king. I can say in French royalement,
Chief like and chief.
because royalement, when I heard the word royal in my mind, I have the representation of the French Occidental royalty, yes, and it's not. I can say that I walk like these people, that people. So I built harillement. It means like the chief, Tahitian and French. And I was waiting what the teacher, the professors of French will say about it. And I was very surprised to hear that it was what they appreciate, how we try to traverser, to cross the difficulties, the words, to speak or to say what we want to say about our thinking. It's the same with to say like the ancient people, like the ancestors. I cannot say ancestralement, like in French, ancestralement. So I wrote and I use tupunamo. Ancestor is tupuna in Tahitian, and I said tupunamo.
Ancestor-like.
Yes, and when I say it, I have my culture, my history, my all in my mind, and it has a sense.
Hast du was?
But we're talking about language, so what about the notion of climate change?
Ja, danke.
How is that a term that you have worked with in your writing, le mot l'expression changement climatique?
Ah oui.
Ça apparaît dans votre écriture?
Yeah,
ou est-ce qu'il y a un mot
yes.
pour ça?
Oh, well, it was comment on dit angoisse?
I was worried about it.
Yes, I was worried, angusty about this question. When you asked me to talk about the environmental problems, about the level of seas, about and so on, because I am not in this. Yeah, I am full of other words than about. I know that is important, but grâce à vous, comment dire?
Thanks to you.
Thanks to you, I say, well, try to find some things, and to think about it, and I said, well, you know nothing about it. Don't say that you know some things, and we will meet high scientists. Don't go there and show them that you have some connaissance. Knowledge about it, no. So I apologize. I just go in internet and to have what was thought in Tahiti, in French Polynesia, or about these questions. And we are here in French Polynesia with these problematics too, about the sea, because there are people, about exploitation of the sea, about some foreign projects like the fishing by China industries, or like American projects about the floating islands in the lagoon. That's problems for us, for the sea, for the environment, because what's the result, the consequences of this first to build, to create, and after the consequences in la nature, quoi.
Yeah, the impact on nature.
Yes, impact, yes. And so I came with, I could have, I say, maybe you don't go and read what happened in our place, in our area about this question. And I came with some papers for you to read, that you will read in French. And I asked the Ministry of the Environment. Can you prepare for me, please, some information about changing the level of the sea and the area, comment on dit, air marine, les air marine, politique of, how do you say air marine? The sea, yes, how to protect the sea and so on. And they said, well, about the level of the sea, we don't have paper. I have just about what we are doing, or what happened, and what we're doing now about the environment. So I have for you, with my key, how do you say, key, clé USB? Yes, for 15 minutes, because they say, how long will you talk about? 15 minutes, and they did it, but you can have a copy, take a copy, and you will read, see it after. And what about the changing of the level of the sea, about the island, how do you say? Disappearing. I missed the conference at the university of a researcher about what happened with the Polynesian islands in this case. So I just took in internet some pages about it. You have the name of the researcher, and you can know that something is thinking also in our area about it, because it's not how do you say, no? Because the sea, you say, the sea, the water are important. For the Polynesian people, it's very, very important, because the French Polynesia area, bigger than Europe, something like 40 million kilometers of the square, only sea, water, and 4,000 kilometers, square, la terre, hein?
Ground.
Ground, yes, émerger. Mhm. Ah, voilà. So, and in our society, the sea and the land, the island, form a same area. No, there is no are connected, no separation. I guess. Yes, it means that the sea is very important. We know, and one of our poets, but not Tahitian, but Tongan poet, Polynesian too, he wrote a nice book whose title is "We Are the Sea." Mm-hmm. And it means that we have to look after, to be vigilant. What happened with the sea, and to take care and to have some d'avoir souci about, how do you say?
To take care about.
To take care, yes, about it. So it's what you learned me before coming here to start to interest me, to interest.
Yeah, to get interested.
Yes, thank you.
We have to be careful with the time.